the Nationality and Borders Bill that's being put through.
Well, just to clarify, did they say it applies for people that were not born here in the UK?
The proposition is that the UK government will be able to remove citizenship without warning and without the person's knowledge if they are deemed to be a risk to national security. But they can only do that if that person is a foreign national or a dual national, they have another nationality, or they are entitled to another nationality. So in the case of Shamima Begum, because she was of Bangladeshi background, it was deemed that she would have access to another passport. Therefore, they could remove her nationality. So you can't leave someone stateless, but if they have access to another passport, then you can revoke their citizenship. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, tell me your thoughts. So many people are getting angry about this. Will it affect you? How do you feel about it? How much do you know? You can share here in the comments.
Sound up on the phone. On that phone down there.
You can share your comments,
which isn't really answered by the legislation as it's drafted, is what happens when you do know about it. Will you then be entitled to appeal? How will you be able to appeal? What will the process be?
I approached the Home Office for a response, and they insist that those deprived of citizenship still possess the right to appeal.
So there you go.
My analysis of data from the 2011 census found 5.6 million people in England and Wales that are likely to be eligible for deprivation of citizenship, either because they were born abroad and are likely to be eligible for another citizenship, or because they're already dual nationals. That includes an estimated 408,000 people born in the UK. Eligibility often depends not just on where you were born, but on who your parents were. The main estimate assumes that if you were born in, say, India, you probably had at least one parent who was an Indian citizen at the time of your birth. If we loosen that to assume that both parents were citizens of the birth country, that adds another 390,000 people. Between 2006 and 2017, 199 people were stripped of their citizenship, with a...
مرحبا لكل اللي انضموا إلينا. اليوم نناقش موضوع الجنسية وسحب الجنسية من الناس اللي عندهم ممكن يكون عندهم جنسيتين أو يستحقوا جنسية أخرى. القرارات الجديدة، القوانين الجديدة اللي طلعت الآن كانت قرارات مخيفة وصادمة لناس كثير في بريطانيا. نعرف أنه عدد كبير هنا من الناس عندهم يعني أصول مختلفة، سواء كانت باكستانية، هندية، عربية. القرار هذا أنه ممكن يسحبوا الجنسية بدون ما يعطونا خبر، يعني إذا بس شعروا أنه إحنا مسببين تهديد أو خوف أو رعب للوطن لبريطانيا، لهم الأحقية أنهم يسحبوا هذه الجنسية. طبعا الموضوع شميمة بيغم، هذه البنت اللي راحت من بريطانيا وسافرت وانضمت إلى داعش، الجميع يعرف حكايتها. هي كانت واحدة من القرارات يمكن الجديدة اللي ظهرت هنا في بريطانيا، إنهم أخذوا منها الجنسية البريطانية. فالأغلبية كان هنا موافق، لأنه يعني بشكل عام يقولوا إنه مش مستحقة إنها تكون تحمل الجنسية البريطانية وهي راحت واستغنت عن البلد وانضمت إلى يعني مجموعة إرهابية. بس السؤال هو الآن هذه القرارات طلعت بدون علم الناس وبدون مناقشة الناس وبدون موافقة الناس، بكل هدوء طلع القرار and it's out there. هل حيقدروا الناس الآن إنهم يعترضوا؟ I don't know. فبسبب إنه الموضوع هذا أثار أسئلة كثيرة، أنا حبيت إنه ينضم إلي بالفيديو جوليان بمناسبة إنه يعني قارئ ومطلع بشكل دقيق على هذا الموضوع. بس أشرح موضوع إنه الجنسية البريطانية وكيف ممكن تنسحب عن الناس بالقرار الجديد. So if you can tell us a little bit more of what you've understood of this new law.
So it's the Nationality and Borders Bill, and it will mean that the UK government can strip people of their citizenship if they are deemed to be a threat to national security. But this will obviously only apply to people who are entitled to another citizenship, and that would be putting people of ethnic minority backgrounds at a disadvantage.
I've got a question for you.
For
There are
example,
a lot of people that came here as a refugee, as asylum seekers, and they applied for, obviously they have had their nationality after a few years.
Yeah.
If they don't have another passport, they come from a different background, let's say for example Somalia, Yemen, whatever you call it. They don't have a passport of the other nationality.
they don't have a passport, but I
Yes.
think the fact they would be entitled to another passport,
What makes them entitled? of
being
another?
born elsewhere. Being born in India means you have the right to an Indian passport. Although, interestingly, being born in the UK does not guarantee you British citizenship. It used to.
Not
and
anymore.
Not anymore. If you are born to two foreign parents who do not have British citizenship or the right to British citizenship, you are not a British citizen. And this is where you end up, where people who were born here may be deported to a country they've never been to because they were born without UK citizenship. Because being born here doesn't give you the right to nationality, unlike, for example, in the United States, where if you are born in the United States, you have the right to citizenship. That's why you get this term anchor baby, where people come from Mexico, and if they have a child in America, that child will be American, and that is their ticket into the US. But we don't have that in the UK. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, I thought if you were born here, you have the right for nationality.
I thought that too until I researched it. It doesn't guarantee it, but it's easier for some countries to, for some nationalities to become a British. But being born here does not guarantee that you would be a British citizen.
Okay, going back to the new legislation out there about the Nationality and Borders Bill. So they're saying if you have dual nationality,
Yeah.
this is when they can stripe you off from the British nationality.
Yeah, because they won't be rendering you stateless if they revoke your British citizenship.
And what was the other condition? This was one of the conditions, and there was another condition.
I think
no?
just that you're deemed to be a danger to the state.
But then they can just take your nationality without telling you.
Yeah.
Without, how will you know?
Yes, how do we know? Maybe it's already happened.
I don't know if I should laugh.
How do you
about
know?
this.
How do you know?
Like, no, but this is ridiculous. Like, how can they not inform you of something like this? You know, like.
Well, I think,
is it they tell you after it happens?
I mean, the government
you can't question it
they
anymore.
are arguing that they have always had this power, that they could always have done this potentially, but the bill will put it in writing and make it crystal clear. What nationality are you? This young man has the
Yeah.
right to many nationalities.
Well, yeah, my son here, he has the right for Irish.
Irish
Right?
nationality, British nationality. What else?
I'm sure you can get a Yemeni nationality. That is not going to do anything.
I'm still waiting to get mine. Where is it?
Unfortunately, Yemen in a bad state right now.
All I got was this
But let's
Yemeni
let's
scarf
use Dawood as an example.
made
God
in
forbid.
China. Yes.
Or let me ask you this question. You are a dual nationality?
Yeah.
So what happens in your case?
What does happen in my case? The fact that I am a dual national just means that potentially I could have my citizenship revoked were I to go abroad and cause trouble.
So then, do you think you'll be left with your Irish passport, but the British passport
Yes,
will be
but-
taken away?
And there are probably 1 million people in the UK that are entitled to an Irish passport. Every citizen living in the 6 counties in the north of Ireland, which is still part of the UK for now, all of them, all 1 million, are entitled to an Irish passport. Every Jewish person in the UK is entitled to an Israeli citizenship if they wish to make Aliyah and go and live in Israel. That's the Israeli law, that any Jewish person in the world is entitled to an Israeli passport. From any background, doesn't matter. They can be from Yemen, they can be from Morocco, they can be from England. Any Jewish person is entitled to an Israeli passport. So every Jewish person in the UK, by implication of this bill, could be at risk of having their British citizenship revoked because they're entitled to another nationality. So perhaps this is an anti-Semitic bill.
Just to answer those who joined us recently, there's a new orders, the Nationality and Borders Bill, that was approved when?
Today. I think it's today.
Today. That approves...
Well, it's being debated today. Has it even been approved? It is being debated.
Which suggests that they can strike people from their citizenship if they cause danger. So, like Shamima Begum, as an example, she's been stripped from her nationality, right? From her British nationality.
Yeah.
And maybe, is she the first one? Is she the first one?
Stripping something.
We have
Probably
Dawood
the
in
most
background.
high-profile case. I've got the table here. The largest number of people affected are people with Indian heritage, 600,000. Poland, second place. Pakistan, and there's Ireland.
So these are the people that are being...
Well, this is country of birth. So there are 600,000 people in in the UK, who were born in India, but there must be another 1 million or so that have parents or grandparents from India.
So what happens to the people that are born here in the UK? They come from, like, let's say, I was not born here, but let's say my daughter was born here. Okay, she has parents that, well, we don't, let's say we are dual nationality.
Yeah.
Does this new rules affect her?
It just means that this rule could be used against her, whereas someone born in England, whose parents were born in England, whose grandparents were born in England, they could not have their citizenship revoked in the same way. So it is unfair, and it discriminates against people, well, and people who are Polish, people who have any right to another citizenship. But in reality, because of the climate and the war on terror, I can understand why imagine that this would be applied disproportionately to Muslim people from these countries.
If they're saying terror, then, we always know that it's going to be number one on the table.
There's been a lot of homegrown right-wing terror as well.
It's not highlighted, and it's not...
Is it not?
Not highlighted.
Well, was the murder of Joe Cox not highlighted on the eve of the Brexit
Maybe it
vote.
is, but tell me what's your thoughts about something like that? What is your thoughts? Do you think
About
this is? Do you think people can have a say about it? Can we change anything? Can we change? Can
You
we
can
all sign a
write
petition?
to
Will
your-
it help?
You can write to your MP and tell him or her that you are against it and you won't vote for them if they support this. Oh, oops.
Is there still time?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, but I think not, because I think it's been passed.
Those who are watching us, we have been discussing the new border bill.
The Nationality and Borders Bill.
That can stripe you off your citizenship if you are dual nationality.
There you go. It's been passed last night.
There you go.
Oh, Bina's watching. Hi, Bina. He loves your Mickey Mouse, by the way. Mickey Mice, he got two, didn't he?
We do have Dawood in the background.
Yeah. He's being stripped of his nappy in a minute because he's got another one.
He's sharing his thoughts with us in his own language. Sadly, this is a very sad news, especially because of just being unfair, isn't it? Like, if it's something that applies for everybody, then yes, fair enough. What does it have to do with your nationality? Why don't you just treat people all fairly? Somebody has done something, can go to jail, can go, like, whatever justice is there in a country has to be taken towards everybody. Everybody has to be treated the same, isn't it? Why should I be treated differently because my family comes from a different background?
Because of the threat of terror.
But I lived here.
Yeah, but if you've got nothing to hide, you know, what have you got to worry about?
I don't have anything. But what if they accuse you of something?
Well, there's
How
no
can I
need-
know? How can I fight it back?
There's no need to accuse me of accusing you. Are you saying that people could wrongly be accused?
Yeah, that obviously, like that. This is worrying.
And it will be
worrying.
used as an excuse.
Of course.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It leaves that option open, unfortunately, and that's a good, strong argument against the passing of this bill. The false accusations, a bit like the death penalty. You can't reverse it if there's ever a mistake. But what price do you put on the safety of the country if people are threatening terrorism? Shouldn't we do everything that we can and take advantage of every possible measure that we could take? If that means you don't let them back in once they've gone abroad?
But if they gone abroad, if it's somebody that can, act in a terror, you could do that in any country. You could kill people anywhere in the world. Like, why send them somewhere else to kill innocent people? If that was the case, even,
for
why not
example,
stop them?
in the case of Shamima Begum, I did make the point that if she's committed crimes in Syria, then she needs to be on trial in Syria, not in the UK. But the UK has been constantly undermining Syria.
Yes, we have people in power will be to misuse. Yeah, it can be misused. And Bina said,
They will be
exploited.
them.
Young people will be affected, of course. Yes, young people. Like, so many young people can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And if that affects one person in the family, does that mean the whole family is deported, or do they treat this person as an individual?
That's a good question. Would it ever be a case of collective punishment? I would be surprised if they would go that far, but if they've been this unfair, I mean, maybe they could, but surely not. Surely only the individual that has been accused of terrorism.
I came across a story back a few years ago, and one member of a family had a laptop that had lectures of one of the shuyukhs, I don't want to even mention names, and that caused a big for the family. The police came, they questioned, they got hold of the laptop and the lectures, and but that individual was treated separately. A away, not including the family. The family were not in trouble at all for whatever their son was not even involved. He was just listening to lectures of a certain sheikh that no one is allowed to have his lectures on, and so on. So that was back 15 years ago. We don't know what's the case now. Dawood is sharing his thoughts in his own language.
Good boy.
Maybe people are born lucky to have 2 nationalities. If it's not the British, then maybe an Irish passport. I don't know. But for us that have, if God forbid I was accused, where do I go back? I've never even lived in Yemen, and my country is not even safe. And so is a lot of people here. I know so many of my Pakistani friends, Pakistani origin or Indian, they were born here. Mm-hmm. Some of them are 3 generations now.
Well,
how is that just?
Many Pakistanis were born in India, and vice versa. Many Indians were born in Pakistan, and at the time of the partition were forced to leave their homes and go and live in the neighbouring country. One of them supposedly being a country for Hindus and one supposedly being a country for Muslims. But how must it feel to not be able to visit the village you were born in and left in 1947? Bina will pick me up on that one. That's another injustice, but I guess that's ancient history, and what we're talking about is happening right now. The injustices continue. Will we ever have a free and fair world?
Another line to mention there in this bill was about the boats that are sent there to rescue people.
Mm-hmm.
They will be treated as illegal, as criminalized.
Yeah. So are we going to have a situation where the Coast Guard will be told not to save lives?
Yeah. And I was reading about this recently, how could that be fair? If you see people drowning and you go and rescue them, how could that be a criminal against you?
Well, yeah. How can you watch someone drowning? Kind of like the way doctors are told to do no harm. That's part of the Hippocratic Oath. I mean, there are certain situations in law whereby if you stand and watch when you could have done something, then you are criminally responsible for the outcome. If I could save your life and I choose not to, and it would have been easy for me to do so, then I am guilty in one sense of manslaughter. And this is like the government are legislating manslaughter. But the other argument will be people are drowning on these boats, lives are being lost.
Yes.
If the option is open, people will continue to attempt to better their lives, will attempt to make it to Europe, maybe with a false impression of what life will be like once they get here. Yeah. The argument on the other side will be we are taking away the incentive for people to put people's lives at risk, children's lives at risk. And Jeremy Corbyn in Parliament today did say that he doesn't condone what people traffickers do. This is another way that people are being exploited. But the argument against the saving of the lives is if you keep the incentive there, people will continue to risk children's lives. If they knew that it was impossible to breach the shores of the UK, then they just wouldn't try. But I don't think anyone gets into a boat and tries to make it across unless they're in quite a desperate situation. Bina saying, yep, they want illegal routes to be criminalised, but this goes against the majority point of asylum seekers and refugees. They cannot enter the UK legally. Well, it's not illegal to seek asylum.
Yeah, but how do you enter the UK? That's a very fair point. It's not really open for people to come and claim asylum. So most of them would come illegally and claim asylum here.
But if you don't have borders, you don't have a country, right? There has to be some kind of rule. What about the people arriving on the boat, not from countries where there is war, but just poor people that want to come and live in a richer country? Yeah, which everyone would. Everyone wants to. I would do it. You would do it. Everyone would want to better their life, but you can't just have everyone come to the UK. What do we do? What is the rule? What should the rule be?
Well, as in Arabic we say, Ardullahi wasi'a.
Yeah, the land of God is what?
It's big.
It's big.
If this country doesn't serve my needs, I'll go somewhere else and work and earn my income and feed my kids. And why put all these rules and legislations and borders? Just you could go a different country and they could benefit from what you have. They can benefit from you. You could benefit from them. That what used to be back in the days as well. Like this is how they used to trade to benefit one another. That's how people lived their life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the future is not going the way I'm hoping right now, but I'm hoping for the best still. And I'm going to have to end this live as I am losing control of Dawood. Thank you for everybody that was watching us in this important topic. Please share your thoughts once I share my IGTV, and I will be with you again once this baby goes back to sleep or another time in another topic. Thank you and good night.
Thank you very much.